Hey, this is Max. Welcome back to another CSR2 video. 2023 Corvette Z06 will be available soon for newer players or any player who doesn't have it already. This was a milestone car. It was also available as, I believe, a PC car or a pullable car at some point. But some of you may not have this car. I'm going to give you my full take on this car, including Stage 6 effects. Let's go ahead and get into this right now. Starting with the car at stage 5 only, this is approximately dynoing at 8.984. We're going to start off with engine and move to the right as far as stage 6 effects. Engine adds 3 performance point, little bit of evo, dropping the performance down to 8.805. The next one to the right is turbo. Turbo adds also 4 performance points, but actually drops the evo quite a bit. Even tuned, turbo only comes in at 8.864 from the 8.984. Moving right along, and things are not looking any better. 3 performance point added, a little bit of evo drop. That gives us the weakest of the stage 6s here. Intake drops the time down to 8.923 from 8.984. That's less than 0.05 drop. Well, maybe a little more than 0.05, right? So 0.061 second drop, barely anything. Nitrous, unfortunately, isn't that much better either. Nitrous, when installed, also drops the evo, even though it adds 3 performance points, coming in at a pretty miserable 8.882 from the 8.984 starting time. Things start to always look better when you get to body, and body is definitely one of the better stage 6s here. You can see just from the evo gains and the 3 performance point gain that this must do quite a bit, and it does. It drops the time to 8.683, giving it a nice amount of time drop from the 8.984. Tire is also one of the better ones with 3 performance point added, but some evo gained. This drops the time from 8.984 to 8.795, putting it at third best. And last but not least, in fact, last and number 1 is transmission. Transmission's interesting. 3 performance point, lots of evo gain, and a huge time drop. But there's a difference between this and all the other stage 6s when you tune it without transmission versus with transmission. Without transmission, your best performance tune is usually a 2.0 final drive with the highest evo. Not to say that's the best tune for running the car, but that's the fastest time you're going to get with a single stage 6 installed. But once you add transmission, you actually want to move to 5.0 final drive to get your best dyno of 8.526 versus 2.0 you would only get 8.7 dyno. Now, this is definitely the stage 6 that triggers that change, because if you don't have transmission, you don't really need to have 5.0 final drive at all. In fact, all the other ones, generally speaking, even body, would prefer you to keep the final drive at 2.0 rather than 5.0, which is invariably slower when moved to that dyno. So 8.683 here, but if you move it to 5.0, it's 8.766. The reverse of transmission. So transmission triggers the strange change in tuning. This is also why fully maxed, the car uses a 5.0 final drive setup, because fully maxed, it adds the transmission stage 6, and therefore the best dyno is no longer at 2.0 final drive, but rather 5.0 final drive. So transmission is kind of a trigger here that you need to keep an eye out for the better evo time. Notice again, the better tune is here, 7.75 at 5.0 final drive. The car drives differently naturally if you have it at 2.0 or 5.0. So the partial build car using 2.0 final drive would launch and shift differently than a 5.0 final drive here. 5.0, you're going to skip to 5th basically trying to get to fifth at 3,000 RPM or less each time, which means you're pretty much skipping right to fifth, and then nitrous and then deep good to get the best time you can out of it. A little bit under the dyno. This is not obviously the best you can do. You can go even faster, but that gives you an idea where it's at. But let's say we want to do a live setup and we don't have transmission, but only other parts. Well, with cars like this, you want to drop as much performance points as possible and maintain high evo to at least have a shot at having a decent car. Usually that means dropping these guys down because they add a lot of performance points without really benefiting the evo. Now, by dropping these parts, as you can see, the evo starts to really shoot up, but that's, of course, I'm keeping transmission here. Okay, so at this point you can also drop nitrous. You know that it's not that useful, so we're putting that to stage 2. Now that puts you already at a very solid place, 23, 25, 648, but that's leveraging 3 stage 6s. What if I take out transmission? You're gonna gain here actually and lose a lot here. This makes the car less competitive, but it doesn't mean it's not competitive. It's just less so. But if you also take away, say, body, now you're losing way more evo each time. And once you take away tire, that's more points and more evo. Okay, so is this not a good setup? No, this is viable. It's just not as good. But if you add transmission, you can see it actually drops performance point and then adds substantial amount of evo. So this is not to say a must-have stage 6, but it's definitely one of the important stage 6s if you're going for a high evo tune. Without it, body and tire could compensate some and still put you at a solid number here. Now, let's not put transmission in yet. Let's go ahead and take a look at the tune without transmission. Notice that at 5.0, you have the highest evo here. At 2.0, though, you drop a lot. This car is a evo drop dyno beater, meaning if I put it to the max possible in between here, you still get really good evo. In fact, you get better evo than 5.0, and it'll keep going up until you hit that cutoff where it cliff drops. Okay, so we're gonna just move it until we see it. And I am almost there, I think. Or not. Let's move a little quicker. Oh, there it is. All right, so notice somewhere around 2.57 to 2.56, 55, I guess, 55, you have this huge evo drop. Notice the difference. 2,000 plus to 1,600. That is one of the things about this car. If it gets that cliff drop, you just got yourself a nice dyno buster. But of course, you'll be running a lot lower evo, so it's going to be less competitive in the lobby matchmaking. But that doesn't change the fact the car will be fine. And if you drive it full out, you'll see that you're running a 10.5 or 10.6, right? 10.6, incidentally, on a 11.2 dyno. Now, that 2.56 was a 10.454, and if you test drive it, you'll find that it's actually harder to hit dyno with the max evo partial setup tune because, well, the car is not set up for it. And if you get evo drop, even with that setup, you're going to hurt your performance even more. So this is kind of a tricky setup. If you use it here, you're actually hurting yourself with the setup if you get 0 RPM drop. You actually want to launch early or late to get the best performance at this cutoff range, unless you go for a more aggressive final drive. We'll do that next. So here, we're going to do a late launch, and then it's a little better. Although I did screw up there. Again, you need to nitrous in second or third because I have the final drive pretty low. So I got an even worse one. Let's go back and do it one more time. Then we'll go to 5.0 and I'll show you the difference there. So this one, again, if you launch early or late and then you nitrous properly, you can still get close to the dyno, but it's very hard. This is the problem with this car. When it is not set up perfectly, it just doesn't want to run dyno that easily. If it's set up for a dyno buster, the problem is you probably break dyno by too much, making it a difficult car to drive as well. So right near the cutoff, it's very hard to hit dyno, right? Dyno is actually much better, but I didn't get it. Now, what if I put it here? You get 10.725, a little bit lower here. But once you have this, even though you don't have transmission, you now can probably hit dyno a lot easier because, well, it drives more like a fully maxed car. Okay, so again, you don't want to go all the way to 5th because you don't have that much nitrous, and also the gearing and the power level is a lot different. But it's one way to get the car going. I think nitrous in 4th was actually hurting me there. Let me do this again. This is, again, you can see what I'm doing is I'm kind of learning as I go myself because, well, there are different ways to set up the car, and sometimes you don't do it right when you try to change parts. Then this is the difference between a partial build and a fully built car. A partial built car has to be driven differently than a fully built car because they're not going to have the same reactions to the different shifts, the launch speed, all that. 10.773 puts me near my dyno at least with a 5.0 versus when I had the 2 point something, 2.56 I think it was, 2.55. Evo drop versus 2.56. No Evo drop. This is very hard to hit. 2.83 would put you somewhere closer. Again, this is what's fun about this car. It really has a lot of tuning potential. Now, that is without, obviously, without transmission stage 6 and using only body. If you don't have body or transmission, using this car in live with a Evo drop tune is going to be a lot harder because you're just not going to have the amount of points there to take that hit. Not to say the car will be completely useless, it'd just be a lot harder to use. So one more tune without any stage 6. As you can see, I could do the same thing here, get it up and then drop it down. But now you're looking at very low Evo points. You're at 12.2 at only 1,217 Evo. That's not really that good. And the jump again goes right to 1900. So you're talking about 10.8 in a 12, well, 11.6. I'll take 11.6. That's not bad. So 11.6 doing about a 10.8 is good. Now, 11.6, interestingly, it's one of those weird dyno cutoffs now in live lobby where you don't get to actually find a lot of opponents. Unless you have lobby advantage, in which case you might. But let's see how easy it is for me to find someone. Not too bad. Not too bad. I got a few opponents. But again, let's see what they run. This is a dyno beater. That could be a dyno beater depending on how he has it tuned. This one could be a dyno beater, and this naturally beats dyno by 0.2. So when you're trying to figure out what lobby you're in, keep in mind what your opponent's cars can do, and that make that adjustment. Now, he's a newer player. Is he going to be able to drive it properly to get the dyno beating? We don't know, but we'll find out. But my car is going to bust dyno a lot, so I need to be careful here to slow down. The trick to slowing down is if you do it too much, you probably lose. If you do it too little, you're going to run too fast. But your first run in the lobby is very important after tuning in that you don't want to run too fast. So 12.4 against a 12.5, he's not happy about that because naturally it was a very close run. So in his mind, I could beat this guy if I just run a little faster. And that's probably what he's going to try to do, push his car. I don't want him to do that. He's probably going to kill his car doing that. Supras, again, can beat dyno pretty easily. So, let's slow down here and get him to catch up. Okay, again, I beat him by a hair, and that's not going to make him happy. This time, we went faster, and he went faster, but I was able to still stay ahead of him. All right, So that's basically close to what my dyno is, and that's not necessarily what I want to do because I won't have any lobby advantage. Here comes the bot because I ran kind of a lobby edge. So it's going to decide maybe he doesn't belong here. Let's see what happens. Okay, we want to try to always get a setup that has both the ability to run under dyno and the ability to control it. That's the key. So you don't want to run too fast. You always want to run just fast enough. Even against bots, I do that. It's just habit. Okay. So we are now in 11.8. If based on the old system of subtracting about a second from the bot to figure out what lobby you're in. So I'm definitely bumped. So even though my dyno is 12s, the game is already thinking I really don't belong here. Let me go out. Let's take a look at our dyno again. And let's put stage 6s in because, again, with the higher Evo, things look a lot better. When you have this kind of, 11.6, 11, all right, so I'm still good. I mean 11.8 with the 11.6, then I'm okay. I'm not going to worry about it. But stage 6s will make a huge difference here. It'll really make the car kind of blossom in live, so to speak. Okay, now again, transmission, if added, reduces this, adds a huge amount there, and maintains the dyno beating and all the other factors. So transmission at 6 definitely most critical to this car. For the purpose of when you do the event later, naturally, pardon me, upgrading is going to be the key. You have to have enough upgrades to make through events. Knowing the stage 6s, if you have body and trans and tire, the top 3, you will see the benefits of basically the other 4 combined, and you should be good to go. If they make it real tough, then you're probably going to need top 3 plus 1. We'll have to see how difficult ultimately the challenge is in the actual event. But here it is. This is basically a change to the setup, but you still have your various dyno beatings points, okay, but it should be even quicker than that. It can go up to 10.4 to 11, or if you really want to push it down more, you can go to 11.5 doing about 10.6. So that's about a full second. All right, so that's a little bit of kind of a full review on the Corvette Z06, one of my favorite cars in the game to use in live for various reasons, because I can alternate the tunes, I can adjust it, I can put myself in different lobbies. I don't always have to race in the same place all the time with the same tune, and that makes this car very flexible and with the down tune quite deadly overall in live against other players. All right, I hope you liked the video. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to make them. If you like this video, leave a like. If you like my channel and you like this kind of videos, subscribe, hit the bell, and you get notified when I put up new videos. And as always, thank you for watching my videos. I'll catch you next time.